Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with some wine. Yes, look, actual wine, I know. It's a Pinot Grigio Rosé from Italy, Mondelli. And the reason I have wine is because I am celebrating something today with you all. But I also have here a cup of tea. And the reason I have both is because it's actually 9:20 in the morning. Yeah. So I do have a small bit of wine to toast you all with in a minute, but clearly I can't really drink any more than that. But I have two things that I wanted to talk about today, which you'll have gathered from the title of the video, I'm sure. So let's get on with the first. The first one is the reason for this. Well, I don't know. Actually, I think the second one is probably a reason for this as well. Because I have reached 100 subscribers. In fact, I have 102 when I checked just now. And so I'd like to say cheers and thank you to all of my subscribers. I never thought I'd reach 100. So I'm really chuffed. So cheers. Tiny sip. I know 102 subscribers is nothing in YouTube terms, but in Nick terms, it's really quite something. And it makes the second part of my video and what I'm going to talk about in the second part even more frustrating, because I think I've touched on this before in videos, but I know that I have made videos where I've gone into it a bit more that I haven't uploaded. So you forgive me if I tell you something that I've already told you, but I don't know if you guys do the same. Sometimes it's hard to remember what you've said in the videos you've actually posted and what you've said in videos that didn't get posted. So I started this channel because I was feeling pretty isolated. And I don't mean that in a personal sense. In my personal life, you know, I'm married and I have my daughters and I have friends and my parents nearby, and you know, I'm not saying I'm always out with friends every night of the week, because I'm not. That's just not how I am anyway. But I'm not isolated in that sense. But I have 5 years ago I had to give up my career as a nurse because I discovered I had a cyst in my spinal cord is actually what I've got, and I also have some deformity of my lower spine, and I was born with all these things, but I didn't know that I had them. And of course, when you choose a career in nursing, and when I trained, which was 30 years ago, as I may have mentioned, we nurses used to lift people and do all sorts of things that they're not supposed to do, and as far as I know, they don't do anymore. So after 25 years of lifting people around, and bear in mind, I worked on a ward with amputees for a long time, so I did a lot of lifting. Clearly, the things that were wrong in my spine made themselves known. And so I ended up being off work for a long time, and then I went back, but part-time. And this all takes its toll on your mental well-being, of course. And then I had my children, and I had postnatal depression, and you're trying to juggle your work with school, and I have a husband who has to work away during the week quite often, and often at very short notice. And so it came to a point where all these things together just meant that I had to say enough. And being a registered nurse, you can't just stop nursing for a while and then say I'm going to go back to it in a few years' time and keep your registration going. If you don't work for a year, and if you don't keep yourself updated and get your registration signed off each year, that's it, you're off the register, and you can only get back on it by retraining, which is all fair enough, and it's designed to safeguard patients' well-being, of course. And you know, I knew that if I gave up, I would never go back. I'm not physically very fit. I am 48 years old. I'm tired. You know, I have young children, and I had them relatively late in life. You know, I know that I couldn't hack it anymore. So going back to nursing is never going to be an option for me, and that's fine. But when you do any job, and I think this is particularly true when you do a professional job, when you have a profession, when you are registered as being something, that becomes a huge part of your identity of who you are. And when you give it up, it's a bit like a grieving process. And yes, I don't miss lots of aspects of my work. I don't miss the stress, I don't miss the responsibility, the accountability, and that was all getting more and more as the years went on, and pressure and staffing levels, all of that. I don't miss any of that. Of course I miss patients and interacting with people, and the respect, I suppose, if that's the right word. When you are when you have a position of responsibility and people are in a position of vulnerability and they look to you to get them through that, you know, it does make you feel very proud. And if you can help someone through a difficult time, you know, that really does make you feel worthwhile as a person. It gives you a lot of self-worth. So when you stop all that and you're just you, and you're just mum, which is great, by the way, I'm not knocking that, and I'm not saying, oh, I don't like being a mum, but it's not quite the same, and it does take some adjusting to. I'm going to have a drink after all that. So that was all 5 years ago when I gave up nursing. I can't quite believe it's been 5 years already, actually. Excuse me. And so it's quite a difficult time, a lot of adjustments, and you know, and once you've had mental health issues as well, which I know lots of you, in fact probably the majority of you can identify with, that's always hanging there in the background as well. And often it doesn't take much to trigger you back into having a tough time. So you look for something to do. And yes, being a mum is a lot of hard work, and there's lots of stuff to do. But, you know, I'm lucky in that I have a husband who does encourage me to do other things. And so when I started getting interested in dolls and trying to learn how to customise them, etc., he was fine with that. And so over the years, you get more into that. You watch YouTube, you discover that there are lots of people out there, grown-up adults, men and women, who love dolls and toys and stuff that isn't meant to be for grown-ups. And it was like a revelation to me, I have to say, because I'd always loved toys, and I'd always sort of see a new doll and think, oh, you know, I really like it. And then you think, oh, it must be a bit weird because, you know, they're for kids, and kind of suppress that. So I didn't buy myself any dolls or anything like that. And obviously when I was working, didn't have a lot of free time anyway. But you suddenly realise that there is this whole doll hobby out there, and that actually it's fine. And it doesn't make you weird. It doesn't make you a freak. It just means you're the same you that you always were, but you happen to say, do you know what? Yeah, I really like dolls. I like to collect them, and yada, yada, yada. So you watch YouTube and you watch all these great artists. Sorry, I'm saying you. This is, I mean me. I'm like the queen, aren't I? No, this is what one does. No, me, my experience. And I'm presuming that lots of you are the same. So I started watching lots of professional artists doing their doll customizing and stuff, and you learn how to do it from them. You don't learn how, well, if you're me, you don't learn how to do it quite as good as them, but you learn all your techniques, you learn the equipment you need, and you know, it's inspiring to watch these people and think, yeah, I'm going to give that a go. And then you carry on, you watching other things. And I don't just watch dolls on YouTube. I've mentioned before I love books, so I watch lots of YouTube channels about books. I watch lots of documentary channels on YouTube about all sorts of weird and wonderful things. It's not just dolls, but you know, I do like to have company of something in the background when I'm here on my own and children aren't here. And you know, you can listen to the radio, you can watch TV, but increasingly there's not a lot on the television. And the great thing about YouTube is that you can find something that you're interested in, and then there's an infinite number of videos about this subject, and you can just keep watching about the subject you love all day long while you do your other stuff, which is brilliant. So you do that and you discover, so I'm doing it again, you know what I mean. You discover when you're watching these videos that it's not just the professional artists out there who are putting videos up. There are people like you and me out there, ordinary people who collect dolls and like to do stuff with their dolls, and they are just sharing what they've done. And sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's okay. It's not really good, but it doesn't matter because they're sharing their stuff that they've done for themselves because they want to share, because they're reaching out to other people. And very soon they became my favourite videos to watch because they were like me. They didn't do fancy editing. Like I say, their dolls were painted nicely, but they're not, you know, some of the artist dolls that they're incredible, aren't they? I mean, I'm not taking anything away from anyone's dolls because I think everyone's dolls out there that I've seen are really good. and I would definitely, they've got a value. I don't think I've seen anybody out there who I think, oh my God, they've ruined that poor doll. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying they're not artists that are commanding top dollar prices like some of the big YouTube doll people. They're just ordinary people. And over time, I thought, I want to do that. I want to reach out to people too, because that's what we're doing when we're posting these videos on YouTube. We're reaching out to each other. We have a niche hobby, I suppose. And although there are loads of us, it's a hobby where you can feel like you're very much on your own if you don't reach out or you don't sort of search for it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're searching for it. So I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to reach out to people and sort of become a bit more of a part of it. So I started by just commenting on people's videos, leaving comments, and then lots of the time, most of the time, they would comment back, and it makes you, oh, they've answered me, and it's nice, and you're sort of, then you can communicate with people, and they're people that understand your love of this crazy hobby. And then that developed with me into, right, I don't just want to comment on people's videos now, I actually want to make my own. And like I say, I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but I sort of decided I was going to start making videos and started filming myself about 6 months before I actually posted anything, because it is quite nerve-wracking, and you know, I still know that I'm not great at it. I just sit in front of the camera and I speak, and although I think about what I want to say, I don't rehearse anything or write anything down, so it just kind of comes out, and sometimes it's better than others. But I made the leap because actually, when you're feeling a bit low, a bit isolated, a bit lonely, whatever it is that you're feeling, this is actually a really good way of reaching out to people, because you don't have to leave your home. You don't have to dress up if you don't want to, although, you know, you may feel you want to dress up, comb your hair, put some makeup on, if that's how, you know, make yourself sort of feel you're looking okay. That's what I do. You know, you don't have to do any of that. You can just sit in front of the camera and you're in your own home and you're on your own and you're just talking to the camera. And then you can put it out there, and the worst thing that could happen, maybe one of the worst things that can happen, is that no one sees it. And if no one sees it, well, you've not lost anything, have you? Some people might see it and not like it or comment in a derogatory way, but I kind of felt I would take that risk because I knew that the kind of video I was putting out there wasn't too different from other videos that I was watching and enjoying. So I figured that there were people out there who liked that kind of video, like I did, and that hopefully my videos would reach them. And they did. I mean, you know, like I say, I know 102 subscribers isn't much. But if I was sat in a room and was giving a talk, and half those people, say 50 people, came into that room and listened to me, I would be absolutely on top of the world. You know, to think that people would come and listen to anything I had to say. So that's the way I look at it. And, you know, my most viewed video, funnily enough, has got over 600 views, and ironically it's the one where I wasn't very well. So I was looking dreadful, but I was reviewing the Dream Valley doll body. So I know that's what people like the most. I know it seems to me that the way to get viewers is to review dolls, or to do box openings, and I know I don't do much of that because I don't buy much, and when I do buy stuff I end up, you know, sometimes having to cancel it. Yeah, the doll zone issue is still a bit of a sore point, but okay, you know, I'm not really here for views or popularity. I'm just here to make friends, and that is why I am a bit upset with what's happening with YouTube. And God, I'm sorry, I didn't think this was going to be this long, so I'll try and make the next bit not too long. Okay. All of my information about this has come from other YouTubers, because I have looked on my YouTube beta studio, or whatever it's called. Excuse me, I have a runny nose. And my analytics. I've looked at that, and there's nothing on there at all about this. So I'm not going to state any of this as being absolute fact, but this is what I understand about what is happening. So what I understand is this: from January the 1st next year, there is going to be another YouTube for kids, I believe. And the reason behind that is because YouTube did something where they were collecting some data that they shouldn't have been doing about kids, what kids were watching on YouTube. Now, the fact that YouTube is not supposed to be for anyone under 13, we'll just have to, you know, put that over there, because to my mind, the minute YouTube realised that people are uploading, you know, endless Peppa Pig episodes, why were they allowed to continue? But anyway, they were collecting data that they shouldn't be collecting, and so they've decided they need to safeguard children because they were then being targeted by advertising. So the way they're going to do this is have a separate kids YouTube, and there's not going to be any advertising on it, and there's not going to be any notifications of any videos that go on it, and there's not going to be any commenting allowed on it. Now, all those things I think are probably good, and like I say, should have happened probably from the start. They probably should have always had a separate kids YouTube for kids programs, or for any children that were making videos with their parents' permission, obviously, or anything that was obviously aimed at being for children. However, what is happening, it seems, is that a lot of the big name doll customizers, so the ones I can quote who I have seen commenting on this, so My Froggy Stuff, and Pop and Atelier has put something about it on her Instagram. There was one more, but I can't remember who it is now. They have been told, anyway, these guys have been told that because their channels feature toys that are therefore made to be for children, they are going to be classed as being a kids YouTube channel. Oh, Dollastic, of course. Dollastic was the other one I was trying to think of. And they will have to go onto this other YouTube if their videos continue as they are. They will not get the revenue that they get because there's no advertising, and obviously there'll be no comments on their videos. Now, this is clearly just first of all, I don't want any of these fantastic artists and people that I watch whose videos are kid friendly. Okay, they're not for kids, they just happen to be kid friendly, and this is what is really annoying me about YouTube. There is a difference. So I don't want to lose all these lovely fantastic people who have taught me so much over the years. I mean, I should imagine Delightful as well. I've not seen her comment anything on it yet, but she's clearly going to be affected by this. And that girl, I mean, you watch her and you know, they're all going to be potentially put over there, which means they're going to lose their income, you know, and they work hard to make these videos and share their content and share their secrets with us. They don't have to tell us how they make all these fantastic stuff, but they do. So that's one thing. But of course, on a personal level, I'm thinking, what about my channel? Now, I don't, like I say, YouTube hasn't bothered telling me anything. Now, I don't know if that's because it doesn't affect me, because it only affects monetized channels, or if it's because I'm such a small channel that they don't feel they have to tell me and it will just happen. But does it affect us, guys? That's what I'm saying to you. What about us? Because I don't care clearly about the no advertising and the money thing, because I don't get that anyway. But I don't want to be put on a channel where no one can comment because the whole point of doing this is so that we can comment and talk to each other. So, if anyone has any information on that, please tell me, because I don't know whether to change things about my channel or or not? Am I going to have to start clutching a glass of wine every time I make a video? Am I going to have to start swearing? You know, I don't mind people who swear in their videos. It doesn't bother me. I don't do it because I don't do it in my real life unless, well, I do, you know, God, everyone swears, but what I'm saying is I usually only swear if I'm really cross about something, or, you know, and generally when I'm chatting to you guys, I'm not really cross. So I want my channel to be the real me, and the real me doesn't generally swear very much. But am I going to have to start doing that so that I can stay as I am? Am I going to have to always be swigging wine at 9:45 in the morning? Ooh, I'll have a glass of wine, but not at this time. No, I'll stick with the tea. Anyway, let's finish on a positive, because you're supposed to sandwich your negative in between two positives, aren't you? I remember that about, you know, giving criticism. Okay. Right. So let's go back to celebration. Thank you very, very, very much to everyone who has watched my videos, liked a video, commented on a video, and especially if you've subscribed, because, you know, to me that means you think I'm all right, and being thought of as being all right is pretty great. And, you know, especially when you do have issues, and issues, I hate that word, you know what I mean, we've all got issues. When you've had problems and things that crop up repeatedly in your life that just seem destined to drag you down a little bit, having people that think you're all right is pretty amazing. So thank you very much, and I think you're all pretty amazing too. Okay, don't forget, please tell me down below anything you can do to make me feel better. Take care, everyone, and I promise I'm not going to drink any more of that wine. Okay, I'm going to use the funnel and put it back in the bottle. Okay, bye.